All right, awesome. Well, I am going to steal 30 seconds or less to take a moment to introduce Crystal, and we're going to slowly see some folks coming in from the waiting room, so don't slow down on account of that, Miss Crystal. But I am super, super excited that Crystal has said yes to joining us to do this webinar on how to retain your customers all year round. She is a wealth of knowledge and a retention strategist in the fitness and wellness industry. She's helped businesses worldwide boost their retention and their profits. As a former studio owner, Crystal understands the ins and outs of email marketing, customer engagement, and retention tools as a tool to ensure your success for business. So, minus all of my flub ups, thank you so much for having us or joining us today.
Thanks, Christine. I'm excited to be here, and it's okay if I share my screen and get started?
Yes, I will let you take the wheel.
All right. So we should be able to see my presentation here. Christine, are we good with that?
You are.
Perfect. So welcome to everyone. I'm excited to be here and to help you navigate a little bit more with how you could use LoopSpark to retain your customers all year round. So this is something, when we look at retention, it's kind of one of those words that can be confusing to people, right? We're looking at how can we keep our customers returning to your business and engaged? And I'm going to compare that to conversion in a little bit. But the whole idea is that we want customers that come on a regular basis, whether that's for appointment-based or class-based, and we want them engaged in your community. So how can they take that kind of extra step to be engaged, and what are some different ways that we can look at retaining them for a long time? So the purpose of today is to walk you through a bunch of different engagement strategies. So we're going to look at everything from milestones and birthdays to people who haven't had a visit in a certain number of days, and walk through each of these strategies of how you can implement them into LoopSpark, how they're great for a retention tool to keep your customers engaged, happy, and with you for a long, long time. That's our ultimate goal versus one visit and not coming our way. So retention versus conversion, and I'm going to give where I kind of come from with all of this. So conversion starts when we have a lead come to our business. So maybe they've created a profile in our software. Maybe they've had a first visit, which is a drop-in. Maybe they've purchased our intro offer. Those are all things that they're in that conversion type of funnel. So they're the kind of the top of our sales funnel. And when we actually convert them, we convert them to buying a package of massages or classes, becoming a member, so becoming on maybe an unlimited or an 8 times a month type of membership. So that's conversion at that part. After we have them on a pack, on a membership, it is now our job to retain them. And that's when retention kicks in. So what are all the tools and strategies that you have in place so that your members attend your business on a regular basis, or those with a class pack, and I'm going to just use members kind of loosely here, and that they keep on engaging? And we know engagement is different for every customer. Some that come a couple times a month aren't going to engage as well as those who maybe come 3 times a week, but we want to make sure we've given that opportunity. And so after we've done our kind of main sales flow, where can we go from there? So when we start with our communications, and you're most likely have all of this already set up in LoopSpark, you have things dialed in for when they create that profile, right? When they're that fresh lead. So you maybe have a text message or an email that goes out to them that tells them all about your amazing intro offer. So we show a lot of love at the start there. You probably have some automations all set up for first visit. So with first visit, there maybe came in on a drop-in or a guest pass, or maybe you have community donation type classes. However they ventured into your business, they came in and now you've had some type of follow-up. How was your visit? Here's our intro offer. Whatever other things you try to entice them to convert them to come back to your business. You most likely also have an intro offer automation. Now this one, I could do a whole presentation just on the intro offer itself, but all of the things you have set up, from text messages that go out, emails that strategically tell them what are their next steps after they're done the intro offer. So what do you want them to buy? So that unlimited membership most likely. And then looking as well as setting up to-dos. So using the great feature in LoopSpark with the to-dos that you could assign one of your tasks or one of your staff members a task of, hey, can you call this person because they're at week 3 in their journey, or they're at week 1 in their journey, and we want to make sure we're communicating. So all of those things are all set up in that conversion step, right before we're trying to get them, can they become a member or purchase a package of some type. So we have all these amazing communications set up. We show them all this love, and then they purchase and we stop. Or we stop, maybe we only have a newsletter that goes out every once in a while, but we kind of stop that whole nurture, and we need to keep on nurturing them beyond that point. So if you have an intro offer that's 30 days or 21 days, we need to keep that nurturing going so they stay with us for a long, long time. And so that's where we're going to talk about all of these strategies for today. So what does retention look like for a class-based business? Our ultimate goal is they're coming 2 to 3 times a week, because we know they're going to see results then, which also helps us with retention. Those who come one time, we're not necessarily going to see results. They're not our ideal customer. Those who are appointment-based, we're looking at every 30 to 60 days that they're returning. Now, that's more if you're spa wellness. If you're appointment-based in your fitness, so like personal training, maybe physio, you're probably expecting them to come 2 to 3 times a week, just like a class-based business. So you have to figure out, what does retained kind of look like to you? What's your goal of how often you want them to come, and what's realistic, right? A facial every 6 weeks might be something, or a massage every 2 months. And then a class-based, looking at how often can they come, so that 3 times a week, right? Knowing that they'll get those optimal results that you're looking for. So with that in mind, we're going to talk about our first strategy, which is milestones. This is also referred to as club counts in LoopSpark. And the idea is that we're reaching out to a customer when they've achieved a certain milestone or number of visits. So this is an amazing retention tool. And I have an example right in front of you here of an actual SMS text message that can be used, which is amazing. And using it via text is the way to go. So I've set up emails, I've set up the text messages. The best response from customers, because we want that little bit of interaction, is that you send a text message to them. They are excited, most likely if they had no idea that they've hit 100 classes. So key things in this text message, that you're addressing who you are and where you're from, because often they haven't maybe interacted with a text message, or too many from your business, or it's been a while because this is a 100 class one. And so always identify where it's coming from. And then it's just a quick and easy message tied to the fact that, like, congratulations, you've hit this milestone. And many businesses will do 100, 250, 500, 1,000. Like, how do you determine what these numbers are? The best case scenario is to hop into your software. So if you happen to be a MindBody user, there's a report that's called attendance analysis. You can run that from the time that you opened your business, run it by client in detail, and you'd be able to see where all your customers are at. And then that kind of guides you of where you set up your milestones. Because what if you have a lot of longtime customers that are already past that 1,000 mark, and you only set up to 1,000? We might need to add. I have some businesses that have had to set up to 3,000 visits because they've been in business for so long and have some amazing super users. So start with where your customers are at. If you have a lot that are approaching 100, a lot that are approaching 250. In my studio, I did this on an annual basis. So I looked at kind of the calendar year, and we were trying to hit 100, 200, or 300 in that calendar year. So 300 is a major super user because they're almost coming every day. And so I would kind of restart that every year. And I was able to not only complement it with messaging that went out to them, but also celebrate them in other ways. So I went to Staples, bought some nice big stars, put their first name and last initial, was able to put that on the wall where we had my 100 club. And now I can move that star when they move to 200. It was just recognition. And we made a really big deal in class when someone's star was moving from 100 to 200 or 200 to 300. As well, I also use this information in my weekly newsletter. So my newsletter that went out, they had a section of the milestone clubs and who had achieved 100, 200, and 300 in that week. And so that was a great way for retention and just recognizing those customers as well. So what you can do, in addition to a text message set up for your club count in LoopSpark, also assign yourself a to-do. So you could have a to-do that's assigned when they hit their 99th class. So you're kind of aware of when they're coming to that 100 and can be watching their account. So you're aware of that. Or just assign yourself the to-do when it is 100. And now I've been notified that it's 100. It's quick and easy for me then as a reminder to put that in the next newsletter, and I'm on top of all of this. So just using this one strategy can create engagement that is amazing. Now, I often work with a business and they start with, well, we're going to start with 100, but we know if we can get someone to come 10 times, someone to come 25 times, we might have to celebrate some of those smaller numbers. So yes, we set up the 100, the 250, those types of milestones, but we also make sure we've got some small wins along the way. And then businesses often feel they have to give something, right? We need a reward, a prize for these types of things. We don't. We just need to recognize them, right? It's basically that pat on the back. They're going to respond to this text message. They're going to notice if you've, put their name in the newsletter. It's important that you don't feel that you have to. Now, some businesses choose to give some type of prize as people reach these milestones. That is at your discretion, but it is absolutely not needed in any way. If you are an appointment-based business, wellness, beauty, they're not going to hit 100 visits necessarily, right? That would be a lot of visits over a period of time, and eventually they may get there, but that's where you need to look at your reporting and how often do you want someone to come. So maybe we're celebrating 5, we're celebrating 10. So you need to tailor this to your business and to your offerings. So this can be an amazing way to retain your customers and keep them motivated. I know mine were so excited all the time of like, where were they at? Couldn't wait to hit the next milestone. And almost some of them had a little competition in sense of where they were going, even though it was not a competitive type of facility that I had. So there's lots of ways people are intrinsically motivated to continue on. So that's milestones. Moving on to anniversary. Some people choose not to do the milestones because they'd rather do the anniversary. I was working with a yoga studio where they wanted to just track who was at their first year. So how many years basically had they been with the business? So then they could recognize those who had accomplished 1 year of visits, those who had been there for 5 years, 10 years, and they actually gave certificates. So this might be a to-do that you set up for yourself. So you're reminding how long that customer has been with you. And you'd want to make sure in that audience that we're tracking from their first visit, then we get to say the 365 days, but have they at least had a visit in the last 30 days? Because the last thing you want to do is like, happy anniversary, and they haven't been in for 8 months. So you want to make sure your audience is set up appropriately for this. The key thing is just to celebrate that they've been with you for 1 year. And so I often set this up as an email. It's a great way, and people don't realize how much time has passed, right? Oh my goodness, it's been a year. That's so fantastic. I didn't realize that. And they can kind of look back to what their accomplishments were. So I often set up an anniversary email that goes out at that 365-day mark just to celebrate again. There's no prize, there's no reward. It's just that recognition with the email that they've accomplished that far, and basically saying thank you for being part of our community, which is a really important part of this journey. Then we look at birthdays, and you might be like, yep, birthday's been there, done that. Yes. And sometimes people are hesitant to have that birthday because, again, they feel that they need to give a free class or they need to provide something as a gift. And I often just have the birthday email set that it goes out to everyone. So non-members and members, because just that recognition, again, that pops in their inbox as an email of like, oh, I haven't been to XYZ studio for a while. Oh, look at, they recognize my birthday. It's that small awareness that can help bring somebody back, but it also makes someone feel special that you do have as a current customer. So within that birthday email, you're just wishing them a fantastic year of wellness, whatever that looks like for your business. I often have a call to action to book, and I do have some examples that I will show you here in LoopSpark as part of the presentation. So the idea too is just that we're just recognizing that they have a birthday. We're not thinking about, oh, well, I have to give them something. If you're not sure what to give, and I've had some businesses that really want to give something, but it's an unlimited member. How do I give them a free class, right? It doesn't really make sense. Or I don't want to give away a free massage. Like, that's a lot. So what I've coached a lot of people to do is give 10% off of retail. So now it's maybe something they normally wouldn't have purchased, but now it's kind of giving you some additional revenue. And I say that 10% off of retail is valid during their birthday month. So it encourages them to use it at that time. It's a small something that you've given them, but it also brings in additional revenue and is applicable to everyone, right? So we're not giving away something big or not applicable to your unlimited members or different groups that you have. So that's birthdays. Now, this one, member automation. Again, this could be a whole presentation in itself, and this is one that I absolutely love. So your customer goes from the intro offer and purchases your unlimited, your 8 times, your 4 times, maybe your massage membership, your facial membership. Now they go into a separate automation for that. So you're actually going to have a whole category that's going to have a lot of different communications. Picture 8 to 10 communications in a 1-year period. You can also build this out for 2 years. I have some customers that want to have the retention flow works for a year, others that have it for 2 years. So what does this look like? They purchase your membership. 1 day later, they get a text message. Welcome to our membership. We're so excited to have you. Keep it very, very simple. Then from that point, we have a series of emails, text messages, and to-dos that are going to be phone calls to interact with this member throughout their journey. And these are different things in what you're going to put in your newsletters and everything. It's how can I add value to this customer in addition to what they're already getting at my facility. So some examples are at day 30, they're going to get a reminder of what their membership perks are, because you probably just told them when you sold them the membership, but they probably have already forgotten and don't realize, oh yes, I have a guest pass every month. Oh yes, I got 15% off of workshops or retail, whatever things you have, priority sign up, towel service, anything that you can list. So that's one of the first emails. Then after that, it's a series of different things that you think of for your business. Some examples include you're going to send them some recipes perhaps. So maybe it's some of your favorite recipes that you want to share with them, but you're not sharing that with anyone else, right? It's because they are a member. So we've got that value add. Perhaps it's a video of a workout that they could do. We all got that now between live stream and video on demand, a video of how they can, their workout while they're away. They're at a hotel, they're on vacation, whatever it is, take us with you. Here's a little video when you need it for a little 30-minute workout. If you are more of the beauty stream, it might be here's some at-home skincare tips in a video that you're going to provide for them that they can use while they are in between their facials, right? So something extra. If you're massage, here's 5 stretches you can do at home, and you maybe have a video or a PDF that walks them through those stretches. So what are value adds in that way? I've seen people give, here's 5 core exercises to do at home. Provided some feedback. So sometimes at like month 8, we're sending a quick text message that's asking them to provide some feedback, and perhaps is linked to a feedback form or to leaving a Google review. And so what different ideas can you have in here? Then the to-dos, what I alluded to would be your phone calls. So basically, normally I set this up at 90 days and 180 days, so a 3-month and 6-month mark, that there would be a to-do assigned to the owner or manager to reach out to that member to call them. Now, typically people would look at this as a check-in, right? Hey, how are your classes going? Hope things are going well. But I would suggest that we're kind of looking at this in a different approach. So we get to that 90 days and I'm the owner and I'm calling, and hi, Jane, I'm just calling to thank you for being a member. So do you see how that language changes things a little bit? Because often people are like, I'm too scared to call. Like, what if they cancel their membership? Oh my goodness. Like, look at their visits so far. Look at their upcoming schedule. Do they have anything booked? Then make your phone call. It's because it can guide you. I see you've been coming to a lot of Saturday classes. I'm sure you're finding that, the benefits to be amazing. I wanted to thank you for being a member. And so pretty sure no one is going to cancel in that call. If you've just called to thank them to be a member, it would be pretty awkward. And people are hesitant to do this, but if you can just start with your new members going forward, so you don't have to worry about members that maybe you haven't had this flow or interaction with before, so that we're reaching out to customers on a regular basis. And at a 90-day mark, you should already know, because you've been checking your account and everything, of knowing how well that customer is coming anyways and how often. So there really is no chance of that loss. It's all of that interaction between in-studio, phone calls, all of those extras. So at the 6-month mark, it's basically the same thing too. It's probably a little bit of a longer conversation. You're going to thank them for being a member, ask them if they have any questions, maybe provide some different recommendations to them at that point, and asking them what benefits. Like, you've been coming for 6 months. I noticed you've been coming about 2 times a week. I can see in your visits. What benefits have you been finding from that? And then they can talk about all the things like, oh, I'm sleeping better, this, that, or my skin is so much better, all the different things that might be attached to the type of membership you have. And what a great way to interact with the customer. It's almost like you're getting a testimonial, right? Versus just how are things going, right? So that ties to their goals. You might be able to give them some additional feedback, but all of these things can be set within LoopSpark between the to-dos, the text messages, and the emails. And don't feel, I told you, kind of 8 to 10 in a year, don't feel overwhelmed. You have to build it all at once. I would start with, maybe your to-dos, you've got those set. So as soon as someone becomes a new member, now we're counting that out. And don't worry, because your audience will also be set that if they terminate, suspend their contract, you can bump them out of that as well. So you're not contacting them if needed. So those are great things that we can make sure the right customers are in these automations. And then when you have time, add your day 30 email, add a day 240 email, the 1 year of, hey, you've been 1 year at a member. Those are great things that can all work out for your business. So I could actually talk about this one forever. It works well for like the businesses that are wellness, businesses that are fitness. It's an amazing tool that you can use for retention. And I do have some examples I can show as well once we get there. Other strategies, looking at things like they have 1 visit left on their class pack. So this can be something that a to-do is flagging you. It can be a text message that you're reminding them. It can be an email with a link for them to purchase from that email. However, you can make this that it's like a concierge service that, hey, we noticed that you have 1 left. We wanted to make sure that we can get you set up for another pack so that you can keep on booking. We don't want you to miss a step. In the appointment world, we want them to book again, right? So if they don't have anything upcoming, we want to make sure that we're reaching out to that customer to book again, take action. Here's a quick link so that the idea they can do it on their own and empower them, or if they have any questions, they can reach out to you. So those types of things are crucial, that we're showing that, hey, we're aware that you're not on the books or your class pack is running out, and how can we get them to come in? So those are great steps to help with that retention tool. No visit in X days. And I put X because we'll talk about all the different types of things that you can do with this. But what is key is that you're having touch points before they haven't been in for 90 days, before they haven't been in for 6 months. That technically then becomes a win back, right? Like they're already forgetting about you, but you need to be reaching out in a shorter time frame to ensure that your people are coming to attend, right? They're going to only get results then. And so if someone hasn't been in for a long time, and so if you're class-based, we're probably going to have a shorter window. If you're appointment-based, we're going to have a little bit of a longer window for this. And the idea is that we're catching them before it's not a habit anymore, because we want that continual visit over and over. And we want to also kind of be like, hey, we've noticed, because it's interesting when I look at the number of members a business may have and then compare how many of those members attended last month. So say you have 150 members. I'll run a report, check and see how many members actually came in last month. And I'm seeing like 30 people didn't even come at all. Like that's 30 at risk of, oh my goodness, they might cancel their membership. So we need to be on top of this to retain them before that starts to happen. So one of the key things I recommend is that day 14. So 14 days that they haven't had a visit. Their last visit was 14 days ago. We're going to send a text asking them when they're going to book their next class. It doesn't have to have a link to anything. We're just a simple type question that this can go to your members. This can go to non-members that we're catching that haven't been in those 14 days. The text message just helps with that conversation. And some people will separate it out. They're like, I want this message to go to my members. So we set it up for those on a contract. I want this message to go to those who are non-members and haven't been in a period of time. And so I also recommend when you're setting up your audience that, they have been in the last 30 days, but they haven't been in the last 14, and they don't have any upcoming visits. That's the key thing. If they have an upcoming visit, this text message will not send to them. So we're looking at day 14. Again, if we add one for day 30, so we're looking at they haven't been in 30 days and we want to reach out to them, it's just book again. That's all we're asking them to do is book a class. We don't need to give, here's 10% off, here's a membership deal. None of that has to happen. We just need to reach out to them to remind them that we care. And the idea is that, let's book a class again. So I try to often stay away from language that's tied to like, we miss you, because it's just so commonly used. And this way it's more about, let's book a class. We noticed you haven't been to class. And when are you thinking of coming again? So keeping that language very simple. After 30 days, we are now then extending that out. So maybe you have something that 60 days they haven't been in, 90 days, 6 months. 60, we're still kind of reminding just to book again. When we get to the 90-day mark, now we might have a little bit of an incentive, right? Maybe it's buy one, get one free for a class. I like to do something like, $10 off a 10 class pack. I want them to commit versus just coming in for an additional drop-in. So that can be a great way to have, some kind of promo code that they can type in that they can use because they haven't been in for a while and have no active pricing option on their account. When we get to the 6-month window, I love to use that they can buy the intro offer again. Why? Because if they buy that intro offer again, I know they're going to go back into my sales funnel of all the things I have set up for that intro offer for text messages and emails. And now it's an easy kind of upsell again to get them back in. So it really helps with conversion and then bringing that customer back. So, but the biggest thing is that we want to catch them in the window before it becomes 6 months and 90 days. So think 14 days, 30 days. If you are appointment based in that wellness, maybe we're looking at, 30 days and 60 days where we're asking them to book again and just extending that out based off of classes need that shorter time frame. So this can work really, really well for your business. Now, we can also set up something for members slipping away. So it's very similar to that. We can tie in that attendance. This is where I'm saying some people like to have it separate. So they may have a to-do assigned to someone on their team of this, member hasn't been in for a certain amount of time or has no upcoming visits. And so it's a way for us to phone the member and, just find out kind of what's going on. Maybe they've been away. We can make sure that they're not suspended in our audience, all those types of things. We're reaching out to the right customers. And then the other thing that's amazing and works really well in this whole recession, inflation, costs are crazy, reaching out to people who have unused credits. Just wanted to let you know you have 2 classes left on your 10 class pack and it expires on this date. What a great way to retain customers, right? Remind them if they haven't been in for a little while that you still have this. And so you're not asking them to buy anything. And I've had many businesses that have taken action on this, whether they've done a phone call, so they've used it to do, or they have, send a text message out with this, reminding the customer, hey, you've got so many different credits left on your pack. And it has resulted in a ton of sales because now people come back going, oh, I didn't realize I had 5 visits left. They come and use those 5 visits. And now they realize, oh, I've been missing this place, or I'm coming on a regular basis again. And now they're able to sell them another pack or even a membership. So those are key types of things of how can we make sure we're interacting with the customers. And often people are like, I didn't even realize I had 5. And if they do something like, well, I've moved away. Well, we have video on demand you can use those for, or we have live stream classes if you're still offering those they can hop into. So those are sometimes some things that can overcome of like, well, hey, I just want a refund, because there isn't a refund as an option in this. And that can be a risk when we are reaching out to customers. I've also, in this instance, when someone has been like, well, I've moved away, maybe I'll just, can I get a refund? I'm like, actually, no. But what I would appreciate is if you're not going to use these, can I donate them to a yogi in need or whoever else, a member in need, someone at your facility who maybe can't afford it, that you could then pass those credits on to someone else to use. And then, of course, they're not going to ask for a refund at that point. So important just for that interaction and how that can all work. So before I hop into LoopSpark, I just want to show some additional ideas for retention and ways that you can be using LoopSpark for this. So asking for a review. Ask and you shall receive. So often I will set up an email that goes out that's asked the customer to leave a Google review. They want to help you out. If they're your best customers, they're going to want to leave a review. And so I usually set this up that they had at least 5 visits in the last 90 days. So that it's someone who's tried a few different classes. It's not just a one time and then they leave a review and then the review isn't very good. It's someone who's had more experience in your facility. And that way too, it catches, if it's 5 visits in 90 days, it catches my current customers, my new customers, like everybody's kind of in there, and ask them to leave that Google review. And especially if your wording is tied to like, we're in an online world now, this will help so much. Newsletter. So in LoopSpark, you could be sending your regular newsletter, and a regular newsletter is so good. No, email newsletters are not dead. They are super important for your business. And think of it beyond just like, here's our upcoming workshops. You want to make sure that you're adding value to your customer all the time. So with my business, I sent out a weekly newsletter all the time. And in that weekly newsletter, it had a recipe every week. It had an exercise they could do at home. And it had my milestone people, right, who hit the 100, 200, or 300 club. And if I needed to, a small little tiny section that maybe had an upcoming event, but that was really in maybe like one email in a month, not in all of them. And people, like, my open rate was so amazing because people couldn't wait for the recipe. And if you're like, I don't have time for recipes or finding additional information, like, you don't have to have the recipe yourself. You can source it from somewhere else. So you can find a lot of recipes online. You can at least link to it and just make sure you give credit to where it came from. And then you could have this recurring, recipe that goes out, or whatever suits your business. The idea is that it's a regular cadence that's going out, which really helps to keep retention. The other thing is that I found with my business, and I see with a lot of businesses I work with, it takes about 6 months of them receiving your emails before they're actually brave enough to go through the door. So if you can build that email list and add amazing value to what they're being sent all the time, they're more likely then to be brave enough, right? Many people are like, I got to lose 5 pounds before I come to your facility, right? This way they've interacted, they see what your community is like and everything, and then they're more likely to sign up. So that newsletter is invaluable. And then other things you can think about are challenges, events, different additional things that you can actually use LoopSpark to integrate that too. So say you're doing a 30-day challenge. You could send a text message to everyone who's in that challenge every week. That's motivating them. Hey, we're done week 1. Hope you see you for week 2. Little things like that that are just motivational, encouraging. And plus, if you have certain events, you can have follow-up emails from those events, anything like that, that just adds that little extra. Or, hey, you attended our event on this last year. We wanted to let you know we have these upcoming events, because you're hitting a target audience that already has engaged with your events. So that's something that's really key there. All right, so I want to hop into LoopSpark just to show you some of the different examples here. And I haven't built everything out, but just a few things to show you. So with the birthday email here, we've got, I'm just going to go to this part so it's easier for you to see your special day. We're adding in, a picture, and then I'm making sure to use the replace phrases as well. So, I mean, this is all part of LoopSpark that I can personalize this as much as I can. I'm saying it's coming from the business family. You deserve the best. Again, you'll see in this one, I did not give away anything. Call to action is book their next class. And I've personalized this, and I do this with a lot of customers, of how can we make sure this doesn't feel so automated that you've got your name, signature, or your picture and signature and everything in there, that we're tying that to reach out to additional, or personalize it in that way, right? It doesn't look so automated. So that's an example of the birthday. Then we've got 1 class left. So this is just a text message here. Just that reminder. And again, I'm putting who I am and where I'm from. You've got 1 visit left. And I don't want to be salesy in a text message, but I can say, I can set up a new pack for you using your credit card on file. Let me know if that works for you. See you in the studio. Again, we've got another replace phrase that can be used. So it's putting in that next visit date that they have. So it's just quick and easy to interact with that customer. And you most likely will get a response from them for sure. And then if we look at the book again for appointments, this is again an email, and we're trying to encourage them, that repeat customer, right? We have an opening for you. I put in this one again, personalized here for the customer's name, and tried to make it inviting. Imagine relaxing on a warm bed while your tired, achy muscles are being massaged by one of our professional massage therapists. Tying in the benefits, don't delay. We have room for you today. Book your next appointment. So that easy call to action with that. Then we've got no visit in 30 days. So this is the example of that email where we're asking them to just book again. So time to book again, quick and easy. I've again personalized. I've made sure I've personalized with my picture in there as well. And then little simple things like, instead of we miss you, we noticed you haven't left any sweat drops on our floor lately. Where have you been? Check out our schedule and find a time that works best for you. call to action, book that next class. So just very simple without it being too sappy is the word I guess I will use in that way. So that ties into all of the retention ones, just as examples. And then I had mentioned about that membership. So you would create a category that's called membership, and this is where that entire member automation would live. So I gave the example that you could have the text message one day after their purchase. So quick and easy, we've got their name. We're so excited to have you as a member. Let us know if you have any questions. See you at the studio. Very, very simple. So they at least have your number if they do have any questions at this point, because they've just signed up for a journey with you. From that point then, I talked about that membership perk one. So this would be an email that we're reminding them at some point, most likely 30 days after they've started their membership, your perks as a member. And then again, we personalize. We love having you as a member. Did you know your membership includes? And then we're listing out all the different things that's included and putting language around to get the most out of your membership. Use these perks. So that's kind of key. And again, call to action is just to book your next class. That's what we're looking for, right? And they're most likely, oh yeah, I didn't know I had personal training, or oh, guest pass. Yeah, geez, I should ask about that the next time I'm in, so that it's a reminder for them. And I will often send an email that's very similar to this one at about the day 200 mark, because by then they've already forgotten that they had these perks. And so if you're doing a 2-year flow, I would also include that in some of your 2-year communications, but you could use the same email and just change out the picture and maybe the order of it if you needed to, just so that it doesn't look exactly the same. But they will need those reminders that this is available to them for sure. And then that value add. So I just wanted to give one example here. So whether that's 5 core exercises, that's a video to use at home. This one is tied to a recipe. So I'm tying it to like, hey, these are my favorites that I personally use because the email's coming from me, you know, a nice image of what that looks like. And then I also put here, check out these recipes, right? And share, and you put in your handle in when you try the recipe, so that we've got that little bit of interaction that we're encouraging. And then the 2 simple recipes are in here, or it could be a link to a recipe from online, as long as you're crediting that source. And it could even be a blog article, exercises you found that you feel are comfortable to share, a stretch like a YouTube video, that any of those types of things that you could link to, that it doesn't have to be you putting this all together. And like I said, this takes time to put this all together. So I would start small, and here's where your to-dos would be in here. And okay, I'm going to start with the text message and the to-dos and 1 email. And now next month, I'm going to build out another one. And as you build them out and turn them on, the customers that are applicable that should be getting them will start to get them. And that's what's key. So with that in mind, just going to hop back here. So I will take any questions and stuff here as well. So basically, as Christine had introduced me, right? I have owned my own studio. I have a hockey business as well. Then I've moved into the consulting world and started that in 2017. So I'm working with fitness and wellness businesses all around the world, helping them to increase their profits while they're retaining more customers. And that's the key thing of how can we make sure there's more money coming in by retaining the customers you have, because you could spend a ton of money on marketing dollars, which marketing is important, and that's bringing people to your door. But if you were to look at your database, you probably have thousands of customers who already know your name. And if we can just retain them and get each of them to spend a little bit more money, you're more likely to keep those customers, and it's much easier, right? We don't have to have all of that money spent then for marketing dollars. So if you have questions, of course, I'll answer them in the chat, but if you have any questions after anything, this is how you can reach me. And I just want to make sure that I thank everyone for coming today. And I'm excited to see if there's any questions, as I can now will be finally able to see everyone as I come out of this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Crystal. I do see one question from Michael J. If you notice members drop off at month 5, strategy, question mark?
Strategy. So that's a great question, Michael J. And you may see that there are customers or your membership, and you can pull reports to figure that all out of like, how long do they tend to stay with you? And so at those key points, we want to make sure that we're using that member automation and have everything built out. So we want to make sure maybe there's a phone call at that month 5 or at month 4 that we're trying to make sure we've got that integration. So we've got a phone call scheduled in there. We've got some emails before that that are really, really adding value to that customer. And you should be on top of this, because now you're using those no visits as well, of tracking that maybe they haven't been coming as often and everything. And you might even find that someone isn't meant to be a member. Like they're on your unlimited, but they're really only coming, once a week. Like switch them to a 4 times a month membership if you offer that, or to a class pack. And that could just be a courtesy. But at the same time, if people are dropping off at that point, we want to make sure we have everything in place so that we are then utilizing that in the best way that we can, that we don't have those drop-off points. We're helping to keep them longer than that. And this is an entire process, right? We have all of these steps in place to stop that leakage, whatever is happening at a certain point. And if we keep extending that back, I also like to, in that member automation, and this may be a great tool that you can use, Michael J., is to tie in testimonials from someone who's been there for a long time, like a couple of years, and put those in those member automation emails as well, so that they can see that. And then they might be like, oh, that person was in class with me. Like, I didn't realize that. Look how long they've been coming. And that might even spark a conversation with them or something too. So that's a great way to kind of keep that funnel going past that 5 months and having them retained for a longer time.
Awesome. One other question I wanted to back up from Darlene. What lapse time do you recommend to offer an intro special to former clients?
I like to do it at 6 months. So if they have not had a visit in the entire 6 months, that's when I would reintroduce that they could purchase that intro offer again. Now, depending what software you're using, there might be some workarounds of how you have to create that, and you might have to have them reach out to the business if you can't have that available online, right? Because they've already purchased it once, especially if it's like MindBody, you'd have kind of like a hidden pricing option from that. But that seems to work really well at that point. Of that is, okay, we're at this 6 month mark. We're now going to sell them that intro again, because it gives them that sampling again. Oh yeah, I've got a really great deal for 1 month. And again, they go back into your intro offer automations that you have built out, which we know you probably have dialed in and have a really great conversion process to keep them. So that's something that would be key in that factor to target at that. And I don't like to do it kind of before that. It's basically, they have to have at least been gone for 6 months. And you may even want to have, like, I include former members, people who've terminated. Like, it's a great time to get them back at a price that's very reasonable for them.
Awesome. I see another question from Lynn. Do you have ideas for increasing number of visits during a limited trial membership?
Great question, because that's how you're going to retain them too, the more often that they come. So I've seen businesses where they have incentives. Come 12 times and you get a pair of socks, or come 12 times and you get this. But the idea is to have a number that's attainable. So most customers will come 2 times a week, so or 8 times a month. So I know you're probably thinking, well, I've got all people that come way more than that. And you probably do, because your super users are the ones that are forefront of your mind, right? But most customers tend to fall kind of in that 6 to 10 range that they're hitting. So an average of 8 times. And so if you can entice that person in that intro offer to come at least twice a week, they're going to then get used to that, right? And that's going to be your commonality that we're looking for. And of course, what I had alluded to at the beginning of the presentation, that 2 to 3 times a week is where we start to see results. So small things like, they come to class, and I would be doing this, just looking at your class roster, and while class is going on, your front desk is checking, is everyone booked for another class? And they can easily check all of those customers and say, oh, these 2 are not booked for another class. I'm going to make sure I talk to them. And that might be one of your intro offer people that you can actually ask, hey, how did class go? I'd like to sign you up. Do you want to attend on Thursday at the same time, the same class or same instructor? So go ahead and be that concierge and help to book them, right? You can also set up automations within LoopSpark that target those customers that haven't come in as often. So maybe they've only had 1 visit and they're at the 2-week mark. You might have a to-do that you're reaching out to them. You might have, an email or a text message that goes out to them as well. I think the key thing to know, Lynn, is not everyone is designed to be your customer. So if we have 10 people on your intro offer, 5 people should stay out of that. And of those 5 people, we're going to have 2 or 3 of them become members. 2 or 3 of them are going to become class pack users. And so with that in mind, we are going to try our best to get people to come as often as possible and use those little key things of like helping them book, reminding them. That's where I have like phone calls at day 7 and day 21 to make sure that they're meeting their goals. And I like to always talk about goals, like, why are you here, right? What are you hoping to achieve? Because if they're hoping to achieve to be less stressed or to lose weight or to sleep better, they're not going to achieve that if they come 1 or 2 times in that month. So it's so key. Oh, that's an amazing goal. I would recommend you try these classes and come twice a week or 3 times a week. Is it okay if I get you signed up for all these classes and actually walk them through in that phone call then of the different things they should be taking so that they get the better value and can actually attain their goals? Make notes of all those goals. When you call again on day 21, you're reaching out to them to, of course, say like, are you sleeping better? And that's part of your conversation instead of just selling them a membership, which that's hopefully next. But if they're sleeping better, they're most likely going to stick with you. So that was a very long answer. I'm trying to condense it because, Lynn, that's actually could be a whole presentation on that part, but hopefully that helped to answer your question.
Awesome. It looks like we have 2 more questions. Another one from Michael. What win backs do you see working?
Win backs that I see working. So the win back would be the 6-month one that I've already alluded to. So that with the intro offer. I also like at the day 90 to offer, $10 off, or you can do $5 off one of your 10 class packs or 5 class packs, whatever your business kind of chooses. So I see that as a promo code kind of being used. That seems to work really well for businesses. But the key thing is to catch them way before they get there, right? So if we can focus on day 14 and day 30 and getting them booking again and, exercising that muscle to keep on coming, then we don't have to have, necessarily, we won't have as many people in our flow at 90 or 6 months. I've had some people try a year. Conversion seems to be very poor at that point, right? I mean, we're sometimes just reaching out. We might get 1 person back. We might get 2, which depending on how much money they spend can be a win based off of we're just sending an email. So sometimes it's not to a disadvantage to try it. I mean, if you sent out an email to everyone who hadn't had a visit in a year and you win back 2 people, I think that's a win, right? Because they were 2 people that weren't going to be coming back. But if we can be on top of this through that whole entire process, that, okay, it's 14 days and they haven't come in, what's going on? It's 30 days, we need to get them to book again. You have phone calls. So maybe we're looking at outstanding series report, no return report, the last visit report, all different things that you can be reaching out. And another really neat thing that's helped to kind of win back people too is calling them and letting them know you've added a new class to the schedule. Hey, I noticed you usually like to come on Thursdays. I know it's been a while, but we've added a new class on Thursday at 4:30. You're not trying to sell them anything. You're just letting them know that you've added a new class. And often people will sign up because of that or add to that class, whatever it is. It's just a really neat way to engage with the customer without coming across as salesy. You're just genuinely wanting them to come back and let them know that you have a new class at that time.
Awesome. And then one last question I see from Mel. What general discount do you do for people who try your intro offer, love the studio, and say the pricing is too much for their budget?
So I usually have an upsell pricing that is not listed. So say, for example, your membership is $199 a month, and that's what your advertised price is. While they're on the intro offer, they can purchase your membership for $179. So that would be, they're going to have a $20 discount for the time that they are a member. They can see the advertised price is $199. So you're giving them that upsell opportunity, and that works really, really well. And I did that with my studio, and I would never change anything with that. Other people have tried and are doing like 1 to 3 months. So they may do the first month as a great reduced rate again. So we're looking at, okay, your first month will be this, and then it will roll into this price. So maybe their first month is $150 and then it rolls into that $199. So it kind of gives that a little bit of grace, and also is a tool to help get them to purchase that membership. So that can be a method as well. And I mean, the key thing is that there's some type of incentive to purchase, and it's often unlisted. Now, I also have had people where we've kind of got a hidden, we don't advertise it, but if they're like, well, I really, I don't want to come, I can only come 1 time a week. If they're not a class pack type of person, maybe we can put them on a 4 times a month. And so I might not have that advertised, but I understand, I can see you haven't come in this many times, but I do have a 4 times a month membership. Would you be interested in that? That might be something that's like $99. So you're kind of looking at $25 a visit, which can be, you know, you're making good money off of that then, but that might be something that you kind of got in your back pocket as another tool that you could sell to them if they're not interested in your regular unlimited type rate. So that's some ideas there that you could use, Mel.
Awesome. Thank you. It looks like those are all of the questions. Thank you so much. Awesome.
Well, thank you to everyone for attending. And I hope you went away with even just one little nugget of information that you can use for your business. And LoopSpark can help you out with all of the audiences building and different things as well. If you need any of assistance there, Christine's a great resource. And thank you so much for being here today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And anybody else in the meeting room, we will get the webinar replay out within the next 24 hours, hopefully sooner. But we'll make sure that we've got everybody's questions documented as well.
Thanks, Christine.
Awesome. Have a good one. Bye.